What's up, guys? Jeremy Conn here with the Lowdown. It's all brought to you by Pickdawgz.com. Appreciate you guys checking this out. Click the like and subscribe button. That helps us out. And if you click the notification button, it'll let you know every single time one of these gets posted. Where to start? So I always talk about the inner circle, concrete inner circle. Excuse me. I'm getting choked up here. It means a lot to me. If you guys want to text that number that you see and you text the word inner circle there, you can find out more. As I've said, it's a bit more for high rollers because it's pricier. I just don't want to waste people's time if you're calling in, getting on the phone and talking to some people, but it's a rated system, late breaking plays. Had a nice night yesterday, even though I missed my top play overall with that Cubs game. I'll talk about it in a second. But on the site, I went 1-1-1. I had a winning day in the concrete inner circle. So that's 3 out of the last 4, which looking forward to, seeing what I can do with this and hopefully winning some people some cash over there as well. As with the premium picks, and you guys know where they're all at. My day yesterday, as I said, I went 1-1-1 on the site. The Cubs under was my top play. I talk about this all the time when we get the win games, where you can get nickel and dimed. And yes, there were 2 homers hit, 2 or 3. I think it was 2. There was 1 late and 1 early. But if you go back and look at the game log and you can look at the inning by inning, it's like single, pop up, double, walk, single. We got nickel and dime there, and then it was like, hey, everybody needs to hold on for nothing else to happen, and it got blown open, so you didn't have to. I don't know. I think the games where they give you just a little bit to hold on to, like let's say the over under was 7.5 and it's 6-1, and then they go 4 innings without putting up a score, and then get to the 9th inning or whatever, and then all of a sudden give up a run. Those are pissers, but it happens. It's baseball. But with yesterday, I did hit my WNBA total of the month. I'm now 4-1 in those plays. I had the over. Fortunate it went to overtime. It's kind of an ugly beginning to the fourth quarter. They were kind of on pace to get to 160, and then the fourth quarter started off a little slow. So I'll take the overtime and take the win there. I had some prop plays out. Hit with Bobby Witt. Who else did I hit with? Oh, I hit with some unders on the K's. I had Christian Javier under, and do they like to make you sweat those. He got the 4, and his number was 4.5, and he didn't get any more. So that made me happy. So a couple of, I hate saying lucky wins, but that's what it was. I did have Ohtani over 1.5 bases, and it doesn't matter when I have Ohtani. I've won a couple times with Judge. Every time I have Ohtani over 1.5, he either gets walked 3 times or just has one of those weird games where he doesn't do anything or scores 2 runs, but he doesn't have a hit to show for. Those types of things. Anyway, what else from yesterday? Was there anything else that I wanted to go over? Not really much. I mean, it was kind of a lighter slate for me as far as the plays. I had more prop plays. But yeah, I'm looking forward. WNBA starting back up on Friday, I think. Unless I missed a game in there, but I think Friday's the next game. As they're taking a page out of the NBA's book, hey, let's play a playoff game on Tuesday, and then let's wait 3 days and then play another one. For what reason? Just play. Get the damn thing over with. Take control of some of these nights when nothing else is going on. And with the plays that I liked for Wednesday, I went right back to the well with the Mets and Cubs under. I thought it was the best play on the board at 7. Like the pitching matchup, was worried about Jonah Tong. I told you this on yesterday's podcast that it was going to be a freemium. It's you guys, if you're watching the show, you know what I'm on. You guys can follow suit if you want. You do have to be worried about getting nickel and dimed, as I said. You do have a rookie pitcher, a young pitcher, who's good going on the road. The elements will help, though. I did like Houston and the Athletics to go over the 9. I think people were scared away because it was Hunter Brown. As I said in my write-up, my algorithm loved the A's bats, loved the Astros bats. And, anytime you're in that bandbox of a stadium, good things can happen. I don't care what pitcher's on the bump, or as we like to call it, Coors Light. My other top play was the Yankees and White Sox to go under, and I threw that out with a free prop play. The free prop play was Max Fried over K's. And just doing some research, Max Fried, he's hit this mark in 3 out of his last 5. One of the games he lost, he had 5 Ks, so he didn't get to the 5.5. He's only faced the White Sox once. That was back when he was with the Braves. He struck them out 11 times. I just think it was a good spot. My model had him a full strikeout over his prop, and it was juiced up a little bit, but minus 145. But I took it, and I gave it out as a free prop play to go along with the Yankees under. I think Max Fried has an excellent game. Some of the other plays that I was on, it was all baseball. I like Tyler Wells to go under his Ks. I like Bobby Witt and Yandy Diaz again. I love Yandy Diaz. And then I also had Tampa Bay Baltimore over, Pitt Cincy under. We talked about that yesterday. Twins and Rangers under, and KC LA over. Wasn't very many things that I liked on the sides. But I am excited. We're going to talk about 2 football games. We have Thursday night football. We have a pretty interesting college football matchup. I'll dive into the numbers here and kind of tell you guys what I'm seeing. I do have a premium play already up on the site for both of these. I love both of these games. I'm going to be talking about I love the side in the East Carolina game, so I'm going to talk about the total there. And I love the total in the Seattle-Arizona game, so I'm going to talk about the side there. And I do like both of these plays that I'm giving out. It's just I already put up the premium stuff, so and sometimes it's going to cross over. I mean, the more you watch this, you'll hear me talk about some of the plays that I'm putting up on the site. I do appreciate you guys watching, so if a couple freebies get thrown in there and it works out, more power to you. Let's start off with baseball, and this is an interesting one, and I specifically wanted to talk about games that mattered, so we're doing Detroit and Cleveland and Mets and Cubs. Now, with Detroit and Cleveland, they don't have a pitcher listed for Detroit. Parker Messick is set to go for the Guardians. Let me give you the numbers, and I'll tell you what I think is going on. Wind is in. It's about 7 miles an hour. It's 69 degrees. Right now, the Tigers do not have a starter listed because this would be Charlie Morton's start in the rotation. And let me check it again. Yeah, he has just been absolute cheeks. He has sucked since getting traded there. They got the bad Charlie Morton that we had at the beginning of the year. In fact, I think his numbers might be worse with the Tigers. I don't know that they can trot him out in an important game. So that's why I think they're debating on maybe they trot him out and give him a short leash anytime he gets into trouble. Maybe they're looking at a full bullpen game. If you guys missed it, Tarek Skubal, 99-mile-an-hour fastball in David Fry's face as he was trying to bunt, just an ugly scene. And you could see how Skubal reacted. He was clearly upset by it, so it wasn't anything intentional. And there were some people, I'd have to go back and look at it in slow-mo, but there were some people saying that they thought it hit the bat first, but just an ugly scene. And if you're looking at these Tigers, as good as last year was with them making this crazy-ass run to get into the postseason, they've been equally as bad. This is going to be, if the Guardians end up winning this division, this is going to be the biggest collapse, I think, in baseball history. And on top of that, you know, like somebody pointed out, the Guardians are such an interesting team. I mean, they're a throwback. They lost their closer and one of their starters because of gambling. Their closer, maybe the best in the game. They traded away their best pitcher, one of their best pitchers, in Shane Bieber. And here they are. They're taking off. And somebody pointed out last night that the Guardians scored 3 runs without hitting a ball out of the infield. They play some drag bunts, moving runners over, pounding the ball in the dirt, beating out the throw. They'll do whatever they have to scratch out some runs, and they trust their pitching staff. So getting into this, if it is Charlie Morton, if it is, I'm going to go with the over. I still think the over might be a good play, even with the wind blowing in and it being colder temps there. But I think both these teams are going to play a little panic baseball and trying to win. Parker Messick's been fine for Cleveland, but this is another one of those spots where if you're the Tigers, would you trot out Charlie Morton? So if he doesn't play, I think if Charlie Morton's not the guy, I'd probably lean more to the Cleveland and just keep following this Tigers fallout as they've just stunk up the joint. Man, it's been ugly there. I'm sorry if you're a Tigers fan, because I think that's who I would have been pulling for in the American League. I can't pull for any of these AL East teams. Screw them. I don't like any of them. Rays are they're right there with the Orioles, but Jays, Red Sox, Yankees, I hope they all lose. If they play each other, I hope both teams lose. So yeah, I'll probably be pulling for somebody on the National League side. I do like the Phillies, and maybe that's because we're probably their white trash cousin, Baltimore. We both have terrible accents, just sound ridiculous. But I do like that Phillies team. It just felt, well, you guys have heard me, if you were listening before, talk about how much I love Zach Wheeler, and that just sucks. He may never pitch again, but it sucks. All right, let me move on. I'm rambling here. Mets and Cubs. Mets are at the Cubs. Wind is in at about 4 miles an hour. Not much of a help there. 66 degrees. It's Nolan McLean versus Shota Imanaga. You've heard me talk about Shota before. Love him when he's at home. Don't like him when he's on the road. And Nolan's been great. This kid's got a live arm. The wind will be a small help, nothing major there. I'm still assuming this might be like an 8 total, 7.5. If the wind changes and it picks up a little bit, maybe even a little lower. Here's what I'm going to say is I do like the under here, and I think both pitchers can keep both offenses at bay. The one thing I would say is, again, Shota at home, and the way that the Mets have been collapsing down the stretch either, I have no problem going with Chicago here. I don't like giving out sides as much on baseball games when I'm doing this. I have thrown them in from time to time just because I don't know what the line is. In my mind, I kind of have an idea where the total could be in a lot of these games. And more times than not, I'm about a half a run off or right there in that range. But this is one where I think the under and the Cubs look good here. And that's where I would put my lean. Now, where do I want to talk about? So, yeah, I like this side better in the football game, so I'll make that my free play. I had this listed. Let's talk Army, East Carolina. East Carolina's favored by 5.5. The total is 52.5. So here's what I'm seeing. I love this when I write down my notes and see if I can read my own damn handwriting. So let's start with Army. 1-2 on the season, lost to North Texas, lost to Tarleton. That's right, Tarleton. Say what? Tarleton? That's who you guys lost to? And they beat K-State. Again, if you'd have told me that at the beginning of the year, I thought it would have been a huge win. It is a great win for Army, don't get me wrong. I just don't know how good K-State is. I mean, they've been a disappointment all year long. So Army is 1-2. Dwayne Coleman, they played 3 games. He's only played in 2, and he's thrown 23 passes in total. Army throws a little bit more than some of the Navy. I think Air Force, it just depends on the year when you talk about the military academies and what they can do. But Army doesn't throw as much. They gave up 229 rush yards to North Texas, and they ran for 387 in that game. That game was an absolute shootout, but they did lose to North Texas by about a touchdown. Dwayne Coleman, their quarterback, came back last week in their game. And again, like it's difficult with the military schools because when things are clicking, their drives are ending in touchdowns. But when they're not, they're eating up the clock. And when they're not afraid to go for it on 4th down in the opponent's territory, we're flipping the field position if they don't get it. But they like that clock to keep tick, 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 run that clock off. Now, with East Carolina, if you remember, they opened up at NC State. That was a game where I woke up in the morning and said, oh, my God, did we get lucky with NC State coming back to win that game and actually covering. That was the beginning of the year. I think it was a Thursday night game, so no stranger to opening games on weeknights. East Carolina, they're 2-2. They lost at NC State. They lost to BYU. They won at Coastal Carolina, and they won at Campbell. And I'm sitting there looking at it, it's like they beat Camp. That's what it says, Camp. And I'm trying to click on the icon, and I'm like, who the hell is Camp? And it's Campbell, which the only reason I wanted to talk about Campbell is, anybody know what their mascot is? It's the Fighting Camels. I didn't even know you could fight camels. Like, I guess we're running out of mascot names, or you just throw fighting in front of whatever you want. The Fighting Irish, the Fighting Camels. But yeah, so Caden Hauser is the quarterback for ECU. I like him a lot. They actually, here's the weird thing and why it's a little bit difficult to sit here and say, hey, I love ECU in this spot, or I love Army, or whatever. I do have a strong take on the side, which you guys can check that out on the premium side. As far as the total goes, I'm going to lean to the under. And why I'm saying it's difficult, we know Army wants to come in and run the football. East Carolina did an amazing job against NC State slowing down that running game. I'm not saying that none of the guys had a good game, but they slowed them down, and that's with CJ Bailey, who's one of the better running quarterbacks in the country. On the flip side, when they played BYU, they gave up 5 yards per carry, and they got ground and pounded. So, is Army's running game good enough? I don't know, but I do think Army, with the style of running game they have and the different things they do, can cause problems if you don't see them. East Carolina's seen them a couple times. I'm going to tell you to take the under here. I think Thursday night Island game, you'll get a slower pace game. East Carolina can very much change this if they pick up the pace and they're scoring easily and they force Army to chase. Because if Army has to throw, it's going to be a long day for them. But I will tell you, I'm on the under here as a lean. My premium over at the site on a side. I love both of these football games from a premium standpoint. I'm going to put them in a triple play. I'll have both of those games up and available. I might even put them in a triple play with a football game on Friday or Saturday. But more than likely, maybe I'll just toss it in with a baseball game. I don't know yet until I see the baseball slate broken down and fully. But when I say I love both these games, I could have easily made the NFL game, which I'm about to talk about, my best bet this week. That's how much I like it. But there's some other things this weekend too that I find very interesting, and I've already started a debate on what's going to be my best bet. I'm stuck between two teams, and I like both of them. They'll both be premium plays this weekend. But let me talk Seattle at Arizona. Seattle's a 1-point favorite. 43.5 is the total. Let me double check that because I just want to make sure I didn't write down the wrong number. But when you look at this game, so what did we see last week? Arizona loses James Conner to one of the worst injuries you could possibly ever see. I mean, just awful. Yeah, 43.5. Just awful. And they didn't want to show the replay. And if you were watching on Red Zone, here comes Scott Hansen. Hey, if you guys want to see this, here it is. His leg gets snapped in half. And then you got to see it, and you're like, oof, that's awful. And the weird thing is, we watched Najee Harris tear his Achilles. Like, watching the injury happen, the contact injury happen to James Conner, and the non-contact injury to Najee Harris, I think Najee Harris is done. I think that's it. I think it's a death sentence for some of these running backs, especially when you lost or never even had really the explosiveness. I mean, that was what we talked about Najee Harris, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Might be a silver lining in that they got to use Omari and Hampton more, and I still think he's going to be a good back. They've just kind of eased him into it, and once Najee went down, Hampton did look really good. Now, as I get off track all the time, I know you got to reel it in, Jeremy. So with Arizona now changing up, Trey Benson's going to be their lead back. I do believe Marvin Harrison has a much better game. I think it's something where you look at, I'm probably going to bet him either over yards or over receptions. He came off a terrible game. He had tears in his eyes with how bad he was. He had that wide open play where you don't get any more open than that. And he did what a lot of receivers do. They got the ball coming. They turn to take their eye off it. Like, oh, yeah, I got this. And it's a fraction of a second, and you just drop it. You just mistime it's squeezing the football. And I do think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be a good player. I think his little brother might end up even being better than him. But he's a talented guy. I just don't know. Like, this Arizona team, every year I want to pick them to be like that sleeper team. I did pick them to win the division this year. But I'm going to tell you to take Seattle in this spot. The best unit in the NFC West, you could talk about the Rams. You could talk about the offensive group that they have with the Rams. Seattle's defense might be the best defense in football. And they've got the guy in Mike McDonald, who I've screamed about. I think the guy's a defensive genius. When he was here in Baltimore, I did not want him to leave. And no, you can't say fire John Harbaugh and keep this guy, but I wanted to. So I wanted to keep Mike McDonald. I think the guy's absolutely brilliant. He does more with less, and that scheme that he runs, it allows, like, Kyle Van Noy is still, like, he had 12.5 sacks last year. It's still the same scheme that that Mike McDonald was running. It's just not the guy running it. So Zach Orr kind of learned under him a little bit, and but that was ugly for them. And we'll get to the Ravens this weekend when we talk about it. But getting back to this game, I'm going to tell you to take Seattle. Kenny Walker's looked really good running the football. We'll have to see if Charbonnet's back on this short week. But Jackson Smith and Jigba, if you haven't been watching JSN, he was one of my favorite receivers in the draft when he came out. He's turning into a stud and a true number one. And I think he has a big game as well. I'm going to roll with Seattle and that defense, even on the road, even with a short week. Arizona, they're a hard team to trust. They let you down in some of the moments where they're the best team. Like, you watched them in New Orleans, and you look at what Seattle did to New Orleans, and I don't want people to do this. Like, this team beat that team, they beat that team. I mean, I could sit here and do that. Like, you know, the Ravens beat the Browns beat the Packers, and the Packers beat the Lions. So who's better? You know, like, we could sit here and play that game all day. Two different scenarios, but and Seattle was playing at home. Seattle beat their brains in. Like, so much so that, like, they could basically rest up in the second half. I mean, what were they up 38-3 in the first half? I mean, it's just ridiculous. So as I'm looking at the game and looking at the Seattle team, I just think they're more polished. Arizona, as we talked about in that New Orleans game, let New Orleans hang around. They could have won it. They let Carolina come back. Carolina actually had the ball with a chance to win it, and then they didn't. So there you go with Arizona 2-0. And then you had the weird thing this weekend where they give up. I still don't know how they lost that game. They got the safety, and you're like, oh, well, here it is. That's that. somehow had to punt the ball back, and San Fran still scores a field goal to win the game. So, but my free play will be on Seattle. Guys, I don't say this much. I don't try to be very salesy, but I love when people go over and check out the premium plays. I am very excited for Thursday night. Very, very excited. And I feel like this is one of those spots. If you haven't bought for me, if you're going to buy for me, this will be one of the spots to pick up a triple play and watch me go 2-0 in these football games and win that thing. It doesn't even matter what the baseball play does, but I'm going to try to win that as well, obviously. So, and then check out all the other stuff going on. Like I said, I'm on the morning show Mondays and Fridays. I'm on the college football and NFL show with I record my games, and Jay puts that all together, does a phenomenal job. And then I do the stuff with Zeno, the Top Dogs, where we record a college football show and a pro show. And Zeno and I both have been he's done better in college than I have so far this year. We both have been doing really well in the NFL. So check it out. We give out a free best bet at the end of the show that we both agree on. So, yeah, I'm going to have some fun throughout the year. Now, this weekend, you're going to see me with a different background, and I'll probably have just recording stuff super early in the day. It's going to be a weird weekend for me because my wife and I, celebrating our 15-year anniversary, we're going to this 3-day festival. It's a concert in Ocean City here. I've talked about it on the podcast. So I don't know. In the morning show, I think I might have to jump on Friday, and I'm trying to work out my recordings with Zeno for Thursday just so I can get everything out. Because from what I'm told, this concert that's right on the beach, once you get in, you get no cell reception. I'm hoping T-Mobile's done a fantastic job of becoming the #1 phone network, and that we have a few bars out there. But this is going to be the first time in my life that I don't get to watch any college football or any NFL on a Saturday or Sunday. Yeah, and I'm kind of torn about it, but it's going to piss me off because I'm one of these guys where I need to know everything that's going on. I need to see everything in case somebody brings it up on one of the radio shows. And so I am the guy that does rewatch all these football games on YouTube. And as I've said before, if you've missed anything in an NFL game, you can rewatch it in YouTube in 11 to 13 minutes. I mean, that's all there is of action in a football game. The rest of it's them walking around and the clock running, the referee setting the ball, all that nonstop, huddling up. Here, the clock's winding down. That's all it is. There's literally 11 minutes of action. So yeah, I can pick out what games I want to watch and rewatch them quickly, and I will be doing that with the Chiefs and Ravens. I do think the Ravens are in trouble on Sunday, but we'll get into that later in the week. Yeah, so anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. As I always say, I'll come back in the morning, post the results of the weather algorithm, which way it's leaning. I'll tell you the great spots, the good spots, whatever, if there are any. If there's no spots that have an edge, I'll write that. I'll tell you that they didn't see anything that was great. I don't like to force it. So appreciate you guys watching. Hope you win some cash. I'm back tomorrow with another podcast.